Okay. This program is a real-time program, so that's why we are starting with the Z. Okay, this is a finance relevant report. So FI, here the R is for a report. So this is just like a naming convention, and this outstanding is the just like a description relevant to the particular report. So what is this report? What is the purpose of this report? So I just want to know that what is the outstanding receivable amount from the customer. So from the customer point of view, I just want to see that how much amount is pending from the customer. So in that case, I will just enter the company code as an input. I just want to see that in a particular company code. So in that company code, I just want to give the date range. So in the last 1 year, I just want to see the reports. And here we are giving one more option for a relevant customer. So I'm just giving an option to enter a customer number. So what are the fields we are giving as an input? One is the company code, and the second one is transaction date. The BU date is the transaction date. So here the transaction date. So I just want to see that last 1 year. Then I will give the range of last 1 year. And here I just want to see that for all the customers or for a particular customer. So these three are my input fields. So here you can see that the first one is the company code, second one is the posting date when we created particular transaction, and the third one is the customer number. So this is my selection screen. Company code is the parameter. So user should enter this value. It's not an optional value. So it's a mandatory value. He can't see all the company codes information. You just want to see that only Bangalore relevant information. In that case, you should enter that Bangalore company code here actually. So where we can see this information. So what are the transactions we made relevant to the customer? So if you go to C11, so BSID, this is the table where we can see the transactions relevant to the customer. If it is a BSID, D means customer. Similarly, we are having one more table like BSIK. If it is a K means that is for vendor. The same, these two are relevant to the accounting only. This one and the BSID and BSIK both are accounting only. So the BSID is giving the information about the customer. This last letter indicating D is the customer, and here the last letter indicating this K as the vendor. So our report is talking about customers. I just want to see that what is the pending amount from my customers. So how many days pending? What is the amount? So what is his credit limit? So for that, based on that, I will take a decision actually. So normally in case of any car showroom or something, so Mahindra will send vehicles to the showroom people. So they will have some agreement. So for Mahindra, a particular showroom in Silk is one customer. So they are sending vehicles. They will have some agreement. Okay, they will tell that I will send 10 vehicles within 2 or 3 months. You have to pay the money. So they will give some credit limit actually. They will give some credit limit how many vehicles they are going to send. So how much period they have given, 50 days or 60 days. We are using a credit card. So we are customers for the ICICI Bank or HDFC. They are giving the credit card. At the time of using the credit card, they are giving 50 days for paying the amount. So that is the credit, what is the credit period. At the same time, what is our credit limit? Person to person, the credit limit will be there. So if my salary is this much, so my credit limit is this much. So depends on my salary or some other my properties or something. So my credit limit will change. So here also depends on the customer. Is it a small customer, the medium level customer, is a very big customer. So based on the credit limit will increase. At the same time, the note that the period also will increase. For a small customer, we'll expect immediately. If it is a big customer, we are having a transaction, so we'll compromise somehow. So based on that, everything depends on this customer actually. So the customer relations. So based on that, all the transactions will be there in BSAD table. So finally, what I want to display, I want to see that, okay, when this particular transaction is happened, when is last date for payment actually. So I made a transaction. So by using my credit card, I made a transaction. So, but it is not always 50 days. If I made a transaction, immediately once the bill is generated, in the next day, if I use my credit card, I will get 50 days. But if I made a transaction in the middle, I will get less days. If you made it last day, then you will have only 10 days. So when you are making this, using this particular transaction, when you made this transaction, then how many days left? Is it still you are having a time, or you already crossed the time? So I just want to calculate that information also. So finally, I just want to display what is the pending amount from my customers. What is the original transaction date when he made a transaction, and how many days he is having. He crossed the limit, or how many days he crossed it. Is it 1 to 30 days period, or 31 to 60 days period, or 61 to 9, or 90, more than 90 days. That means that is just like a dangerous. So likewise, we want to display our information in a different buckets. Just like here, the bucket is a category. So he not paid the amount, but how many days? So is it a range of 1 month, or 2 months, or 3 months, or more than 3 months? So likewise, at the time of displaying itself, I want to display in the particular way. So by seeing that, I will take a decision. So what to do in the next level. So he's not paid that amount more than 90 days. So that's why I'm just stopping everything. I'm just not going to send any vehicles or something to the particular person. Why? Because he's not paying the money. Or otherwise, one customer is there regularly, he's paying. So suddenly the people will call and they will tell that, sir, you are paying credit card bill in time. So that's why we are increasing your credit limit. Suddenly they will call us and they will tell that we are decreasing your credit limit. You are just given a credit card, you never use your credit card. So that's why we are just decreasing your credit card limit. So sometimes they were very happy with our what that usage. Then they will tell that, sir, we are increasing one lakh extra. So here also this report will give an information like how these customers are doing the business. So is it in a positive way or negative way? So based on that, they will take a decision. So our report, what it is doing. So the transaction details are available in BSID table. So first, what we are doing. First level, we are writing a query on BSID, and we are giving the input parameters like what is the company code, what is the customer number, what is the transaction date. If we give in a limit, then it will take so last 6 months. So from that date to this date. So we can give an option to give the date. At the same time, you just want to track one particular customer. This person is not paying. I just want to track that. Then I will give the particular customer. So this company code, is it a Bangalore or a Hyderabad? So the company code depends on that. They will enter the company code. So we are just taking the information from BSID. These are the fields we are just taking from the BSID. So what are the fields we have to consider actually? So here, if you see this one, customer number is important. The transaction date is important. At the same time, this transaction currency code, that is also important. This amount also important. So how much is the pending when we use the card, when this transaction is made, what is the amount and what is the currency of that. These are the important fields. But other than that, I am retrieving some other additional fields, SHKZG and GFBDT, REBZ. These fields we are not displaying anywhere in the final output actually. But why we are trying all these additional fields? Sometimes in normally as per our requirement, we only retrieve relevant fields what we are going to display in the final output. But we are not displaying these fields in the final output. Then why you are retrieving these fields? Okay. Sometimes we need additional fields. Why we need those additional fields? Okay. So time being, I just specified these are the fields we want to retrieve from BSID. You just simply add a query and you are retrieving the data from BSID. Once you are seeing the customer number, I just want to know that what is the customer name, So I'm just going back to the KNA1 table where I will have the customer name and the country of the customer. That is just like a additional information of the customer. In the second level, I am having one more customer table, KNKK. There I can get that what is the credit limit for this customer. 10 lakhs is the credit limit. So I just want to know that what is the credit limit for this particular customer. So those credit limit details will be there in KNKK. We are writing the query on this and we are getting the credit limit for that customer. At the same time, I just want to know that what type of customer, what is the group of the customer, if they're small or medium or big or something. So different groups will be there. I just want to know that what is the group of this particular customer. So before taking any decision, I just want to see his properties, like what is his credit limit, what type, what is his group. So he's from which country. So sometimes country also playing the role actually. So he's from which country. So just like once we decided the customer, what are the customers, we are just taking additional information of the customer from these tables, customer master tables, KNA1, KNKK, and KNV. So those details also we are retrieved, and after that we just want to process. So till that, this is just like a data retrieval, and after that I'm just processing all the records one by one. What is that blue pink transaction details? Now I just want to see this particular transaction is in which range. So this transaction having some time for paying the money, or those people already crossed that. So for that purpose, in SAP, we are having one function module. The function module will tell that what is the last date for the payment. So if you see this one, this is the function module, net due date. So just to pass the details relevant to the particular transaction. So that's why these fields we are not displaying, but we need those fields for this function module calculation. So here from BSID table, what are the information we are getting? So we are just passing to this function module. It will tell that what is the last date for payment. This is the due date. So this is the last date for the payment. This is a due date. So after that, what we are checking, we are comparing with today's date. So if the due date is 10 days before, then we are just trying side item minus the due date. Then what will happen? 10 days difference will come. Then it will come a category of 1 to 30. Here you can see that if the value is less than 1, the difference between today's date and the due date, if it is less than 1, then that is a category of first. That means we are having a time for paying the money. If it is crossing, that means you have to pay this bill in the last month, January 10th. Now we are running the report. Then you already crossed that limit. You are already crossed your due date. Then it will come under 0 to 30. Then if it is more than 1 month, so we are just checking difference between today's date and the payment date, payment due date. So if it is in 0 category, then same amount value I am passing to the bucket 1, first category. If it is 0 to 30, I am passing the same amount value to the bucket 2, second category. If the value is from 31 to 60, then that will come under third category. And if it is 60 to 90, that is coming under fourth category. So if it is crossed than 90, that means that is a dangerous. The max limit you already crossed. Then the value will go to the fifth bucket. So sixth bucket, all the values will be there in the sixth bucket. So likewise, we are preparing. So the same information, this particular transaction cross the due date, or we are having a time to the payment, or if you cross that, how many days you are crossed, in which category it will come. So the value we are filling the same amount value, we are just filling into one bucket. It depends on these conditions, which conditions satisfied. Then we are preparing the final data. So likewise, all the records we are calculating. So at last, we are displaying all the records. At the time of displaying, we are displaying based on the customer number. I need a subtotal based on the customer number. I need a subtotal based on the customer group. I need a subtotal based on the what is that currency. Then I used three sorting conditions, and finally I passed the information to the grid display function. So just we'll see that how is this output looking like. So here I just created one variant. So 1000. So this is the dummy data. Long back, SAP given some dummy data. So that is the old data. That means the transactions are happened in 2000. So now we are in 2021. So many gaps will be there actually. So the dummy data, if we take a real time scenario, then the recent data will be there. But this is just like a demo system. At the time of installing this software, what is the data SAP given? Only that data will be there. So that's why I'm just starting with the 2000. So I'm just executing this report. So company code, and this is the customer code, and this is the customer country, customer group, transaction made when we made the transaction, and what is the currency of this one. And here, these are the buckets actually. So is it the first bucket or second bucket, third bucket or fourth bucket? Why? Because all are old transactions. That means the due date is crossed. It's a more than 90 days. So that's why it is coming in the last category. That is the 90 days category. All the transactions are already crossed the due date. That is also the days are more than 90 days. This is a completely old information. So that's why that information is filling only in the last bucket. And this is all the records will come here. And what is the credit limit for this particular customer? Here you can see that what is the credit limit for the customer. So here if you see this one, somewhere it is clearing the value. I'm not able to see the customer value here actually. That means at the time of clearing, I added a clear statement but forgot to do some mapping. Now you can see that what is the customer code and what is the name of the customer, what is his country, what is the group of the customer. When he made the transaction, he made a transaction in 2012. That means how many days difference between 21 and 12? It's more than 90 days. So that's why it is not coming to here. If it is less than 0, then the value will display here. It's not satisfying this condition. Then it is checking. Is it 1 to 30? No. 31 to 60? No. 61 to 90? No. More than 90. It's a 2012 information. So many years happen. So many years gap is there. So that's why it is displaying the value. What is the amount pending? That is a category of 90 days. The amount pending is cross the due date and it is a crossing more than 90 days. So that's why it is displaying here. So here you can see the credit limit of the customer. So here we are talking about 1032 customer. He made so many transactions. Then just to come down and just check that 1032. These many records. So for 1032, so for 1032, what is the total amount pending? 5 lakhs, not 5 lakhs, 5728, 585, 57 lakhs, 28,595. But what is his credit limit? His credit limit is 5 lakhs, 11,000. But he already crossed that. The value is it 5 lakhs or 57? 5 lakhs 72, not 5 lakhs, 57 lakhs. Here it is a 57 lakhs pending. But what is his limit? 5 lakhs is his limit actually. So likewise, this is the credit limit for this 1032 customer actually. So what is his credit limit? 5 lakhs is credit limit, but he already pending amount is 57 lakhs. So based on that, I will take a decision actually. So in this report, we are just calculating what is the category of this particular transaction. He made a transaction in 2010. Till now, he didn't pay that amount actually. So it's across that 90 days period. So what is that amount? So finally, how many transactions he made? He made so many transactions. And finally, I'm just accumulating the value. What is the pending amount? And what is the category? If it is in a real-time point of view, we'll have few transactions in bucket 1, bucket 2, bucket 3, bucket 4. But this is just like a dummy data, old information. So that's why all are coming under the last category. So that is crossing this limit. So I will just check this information, and based on that, I will call to this 1032 and I will tell that, okay, you already crossed your credit limit and we have given the, you crossed that dangerous limit also 90 days, and we are just stopping that entire process. Once you clear the pending amount, then only we'll continue the business. So based on this report, these people will take a decision what we are going to do in the next level. So that's why outstanding receivables of customers. What is the pending amount from the customer? This report will give the information. So based on that, that high level person, if he's head for the Bangalore company code 1000, then he will talk with that customer and he will take a decision. Any doubts in this?
No, sir. Understood.
So these are just like a pakka real time things actually. In a real time, different type of customers in any type of the business, customers will be there. Transactions always the transactions will be there. We'll give some time, buffer time for paying the money. Once it is crossed, then what are the things we have to do? So how much is pending actually? What is the credit limit for the particular customer, and how to react for that? How can we do in the next level? So we need a report to take a decision actually. So here in a normal case, okay, I just want to know that what is the last date for the payment. If you go to table level, that BSID table, nowhere they will mention about the last date for the payment actually. So normally in all the cases, what we are doing, we are getting some information from the table only. But in this case, it is telling that when we made a transaction, but we don't know that when to pay that, when is the due date for that. It is not like a simply 50 days plus or something like that. Why? Because we are using a credit card. Sometimes we will get a 50 days period for paying the money. Sometimes we will get only 10 days period. That means when you made the transaction, is it the middle of that period, or in the starting of the period, or at last of the period? So based on that, the duration will change. So that information is nowhere available in the table. So then this function model is helping us actually. So we are not able to calculate when lost date for the particular transaction. This net date will give just pass my transaction details. I just used my credit card and particular date. Then it will tell that what is the last date for the payment. This function model is giving that information. So based on that, I'm just checking, is it we are having a time, or I already crossed that limit actually. So here once we pass this, it will tell that what is the last date for the payment. Then we are comparing with the today's date. If it is a future date, then I am having a time to pay the money. If it is just the old date, then I already crossed that. I need to pay the penalty. So this is the important actually. In each report actually, one important or one complex step will be there. Remaining things are same. Other than that, we know everything. This one, we know that how to get the data from KNA1. Same thing we used in the previous report also. We know that how to write a query on KNA1, how to get the name and land one. We know that. Here for credit limit, they told that okay, this is the field to get from KNKK. We can write the query, and the customer group we can get it from KNVV. So that information is available. But how to use this function model? What are the important parameters? What are the things we have to pass to this particular function model? So if you see this one, I'm not going to display any of these fields in the final output, but I need this information for the calculation. I need to pass this information to the function model. So that's why we added those fields in the select query. Otherwise, these fields are not there in the final output. They're just displaying only amount, currency, but not SHKZG, GB, T1, TR, 2T, 3T. Those fields are not there in the final output. So sometimes we need some fields for internal calculation, even though if you are not displaying those fields in the final output. So last time Amar asked that, so what are the fields we have to include in the select query? I told that, okay, only required fields we have to include, but what are the fields we are going to display? But in this case, we are just not displaying these fields, but we are adding in the select query. So internal calculations, we need some information. So we're not going to display, but internally we need this information. We need the function model is expecting these details. So we want to pass this information. So in few cases, we'll add more fields in the select query, even though we are not going to display. We need that information. Clear?
Yes, sir.
Now you got a clarity how I have developed this report. So how I am starting with the select query. After that, why I'm using this one. So here I used one control break statement. We'll call this one as a control break statement. Control, that is also at new, at new. So we'll call this one as a control break statement. I use this control break statement. Okay. Okay. What is the use of this control break statement? Why I added this control break statement in the middle of the loop? So in the entry also they will ask that, okay, what are the control break statements available? So we are having control break statements like at new, at end of, at last. So these are the control break statements available in ABAP. So they will ask that where we'll use control break statements. Always will use control break statements within the loop and end loop. So if you are trying to write this at new statement here, it will throw an error. Just to try to write this at new statement outside the loop. At new is allowed only within a loop and end loop. You can't write this at new statement outside the loop. Okay. So where we'll use control break statements? Only inside loop and end loop we'll use control break statements. So why I use this control break statement? At new of customer. So if you see this one here for the available customer, I'm just checking what is his name, what is his country, and for the same customer, I am just checking like what is the credit limit for the particular customer. For the same customer, I just want to know that what is the group of the customer. So that means if the customer made 1,000 transactions, always it will go there and it will get the same information for the same customer. First time customer 101. So second time the for same 101 we are just trying to display one more transaction. Then it will go back once again and it will read this and it will take the same name and same country and same credit limit, same group. So that means if the customer at new customer, if the customer is changing, then only take the information. If 101 is repeating, then there is no necessity of going and read from the KNA one. Why? Because In the first level itself, we already read that information is available. So in the second level onwards, if the customer is same, then don't go inside at and at. So that means at new of the customer. If the customer is new, then only go back and get his name and his country. If the customer is not new, just use the old information what we are having, what we retrieved in the first record level. So that is the control break statement. Is it clear? So that means we're not doing these steps every time. For the same customer, if we are having a 10,000 transactions, only one time it will go inside. Second time onwards, it is not going. If the customer is changing, if the new customer came into the picture, then only it will go inside and it will get the information. Clear?
Yes, sir.
At the
Yes,
same
yes.
time, at the end of the customer, sometimes we just want to do something at last of the customer actually. So then we'll use at the end of the customer. So for the calculation purpose, okay. So normally at new of the customer, I just want to write his name, customer 101, his name, and what is his country. Remaining details I will print. And second customer will come, his name and the country, credit limit, and remaining details will print. Like that, sometimes we need that at the end of the customer. I just want to know that what is the total of all the transactions. Then in between, I will do the calculation like sum equal to sum plus record, the current record amount, second record, third record. If 10,000 records are there, the total amount will be there in that LV underscore sum. At the bottom, I just want to print like this is the total amount. Then I need this at end of. Okay. Likewise, we are having at first. At the time of looping, loop first time it is triggering. I just want to give a heading for the columns. This is the first column is customer number, second column is the customer name, third column is the or the amount, like that. So these things we are using in a classical ALV report actually. At the time we are printing by using the write statement, but here we are not doing the columns and the column order. Everything is controlling from the field catalog. So that's why we are not using anywhere actually. But for internal calculation, we need this at new, at end of. Sometimes we just want to calculate. So what we are doing here, we are displaying all the transactions of the customer. Sometimes they will ask about that. What is the customer? What is the total amount? In that case, I need based on the customer number. I want to accumulate the value based on the customer number. Then I need that at end of the statement for accumulating the value. Similarly, at first means at first time of the loop. Loop is triggering first time. Then I want to give the heading. At last, once a loop, all the records are over. At last, I want to print the cumulative amount of all the customers. It's not just like a subtotal, it's a grand total of all the customers. Then we'll use a control break statement of at last. So previously we used all the things in a classical reporting where we are trying to print. But in case of a ALV report, we are having subtotals, totals, those options are available. Directly we are passing those values from the sorting table. So that's why I'm not used anywhere actually. So here I'm just doing the same activity. So what I'm telling, based on the customer, I need a subtotal. So that's why I pass that value to the sorting. Based on the customer group, I need a subtotal. So I'm just passing the customer group to the sorting functionality. Based on the currency, current amount, same customer only. If currency is changing, then I just want to tell like, okay, this is for first currency, USD, and the second one is Euro. I just want to split that information. If the customer is same, then I have given three sorting criteria. That means three subtotals I'm just passing. So based on that, at the time of displaying, it is splitting the information and is displaying to me. Okay. So in the classical reporting, we used all those control break statements for printing. But here in case of an advanced ALV reports, so here we just do the same activity by passing the values to the sort. Clear? So you
Yes,
have
sir.
to understand that in a real-time point of view, when we use this sorting functionality. So here we know that the reality. So I need that. I just not blindly displaying all the requests. I just want to, at the time of displaying, split it based on the customer group, split it based on the customer number, split it based on the currency. So just like a subdivision. Actually, here if you see the position, that is the first position. Actually, customer group is the higher level. Then customer will come. Then in that customer, multiple currencies are there. Then based on the currency wise, you have to split. So you take that higher level, just like a country, then come to the state, then come to the city. This customer group is a higher level. Just customer group, then come down to the customer, come down to the state, then come down to the city. Just like a drill down higher level. That is like a first, second, third. So it will be more effective actually. So we can easily see that for this customer, okay, what is the amount is spending. So based on that, we will take a decision, whatever it may be. So this is also important report actually. So what are the outstanding receivables of a customer? So the similar reports will be there in SAP standard also. I think Dhirendra is aware of all those reports, that the Dunning reports or something will be there. But why we are developing? So our calculations is different actually. SAP given a standard functionality, but we want to display based on a different buckets category. So our bucket range is different. So sometimes we want to customize the same process. The similar logic only we develop, but the thing is, but client to client it will change actually, the terms and conditions or the categories, how to divide the information. So that's why we are developing our customized reports for the similar functionality only. Is it okay?
Yes, sir.
I think we covered to pakka real time.
Yes, sir. It's a really time.
The flow is actually, if you understand that, if you understand, develop a code step by step,